Hey guys, one of the questions I see getting asked a lot on the forums and Reddit and places I read is, can you power your Neopixel ring or strip or whatever flavor of Neopixel you have from your Arduino's 5-volt pin? Or do you need an external power supply? Well, I figured we look into the mathematics of it, the current and everything today, and show you one way or another whether you actually do need that. Now, a couple things that you need to keep in mind. If you are powering your project from the USB port, especially if you are powering it from the USB port out of your laptop or desktop computer, you're looking at a current limit of about 500 milliamps. So if you try and draw more than 500 milliamps, you're probably going to kick your laptop or your computer into its protection mode. So what about, one of these guys, one of these little breadboard power supply modules? Well, according to the specs on this has a maximum output of 700 milliamps. So it would handle most of what you want to do depending on the number of LEDs you're using. But the real question is, can you power it from the 5-volt pin on your Arduino? And that has a maximum 500 milliamps output. So I guess the answer is, if we're looking at under 500 milliamps, the answer is yes. Well, how many LEDs is that? And how bright can you make them? Because you have to remember that each one of these LEDs, these are the Neopixels or the Wb2812B. These are the 50/50 size. Okay, and according to its spec, at full white, which would be, you give it its three values, value for red, value for green, value for blue. At 255, 255, 255, this is going to put out, or it's going to require 60 milliamps per LED. So 60 milliamps per LED times 24 LEDs is 1.44 amps. So if you're going to drive this at full brightness, all LEDs, then the answer is going to be no. So here's my little test rig that I put together to kind of demonstrate the various currents that these LEDs are going to require. So we've got just a 0.96 I2C OLED here as our display. We've got the INA219 current monitor to monitor the current. And I'm using my external power supply here to supply the current. And I'm using a 2200 microfarad capacitor across the positive and negative here. And that's just to smooth things out. So the way we have this hooked up is the positive from the Neopixel is plugged into, well, let's go in this direction. The positive voltage out from this 5-volt rail goes into the INA219 and out to the positive rail of the Neopixel. The ground from the Neopixel is plugged into the ground from here, and my grounds are hooked together to the Arduino. All right? There's nothing really complicated here. So let me do this like this. Power up the power supply first, and then the Arduino. And these are going to light at half power in green. So you can see 24 LEDs lit at half power, 127 value in the green is equal to 171.78 milliamps. So that's definitely doable. Now let's do this same experiment, but take it up to full power. All right, now we're coming up to full power, which is 255 value. And you can see we have 301.84, so 302 milliamps. Still within the realm of what the Arduino's power can handle. Now the next question is, does it make any difference what color we're using? All right, well, let's stick to the same thing here. We'll go full power, 255, and we'll switch to blue, which should draw a little bit more power than the green. I put a piece of paper over this so we don't get too blinded. And you can see that the blue draws about the same. Let's try it again with red and see if there's any significant difference there. All right, so we come up to power with the red, and you can see we're about 2 milliamps difference. So the red is slightly less bright than the green and the blue together. So for our final experiment, let's try it with white. That would be all three of these at their maximum value of 255, 255, 255. And I bet you that puts us over the 500 milliamp mark. All right, here we go with the white. And now you can see we are up to 829.57, so 829.6 or 830 milliamps, if you remember your elementary school rounding. And you can see if I remove this piece of paper, those are ridiculously bright. So the question that was asked, can you drive one of these Neopixel rings or a matrix or whatever collection of these Wb2812B LEDs from the 5-volt pin of your Arduino? And the answer is maybe. It all depends on how many you're using and how bright you're driving them. So 24 of them at full blast, no. We're looking at the better part of an amp. A couple of them, sure. As long as you remember the magic number from the spec sheet, at full brightness, white, we're looking at 60 milliamps per LED. So do your math, and you'll know whether or not you'll be safe driving them from your Arduino or whether you're going to need an external power supply. So if you like this, please give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, comment. Don't forget the drawing on St. Patrick's Day for a free Arduino Zero. If you're a subscriber, you're entered. If you're not a subscriber, what the heck are you waiting for?